Good evening. The Planning and Zoning Commission meeting for Wednesday, August 11th, 2021 is called to order. Please join me in the Pledge of Allegiance.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Madam Secretary, will you please take the roll?
Yes. Commissioner Ellison is present. Commissioner Kish is present. Commissioner Clymer is present. Commissioner Maloney is present. Chairman Bray is present. Commissioner Steiner is absent. Vice Chairman Barnes is absent. We have a quorum.
Thank you, Madam Secretary. I'll entertain a motion to excuse both Vice Chairman Barnes and Commissioner Steiner from this evening's meeting, please.
Mr. Chairman, I so move.
I second.
Been moved by Commissioner Clymer, seconded by Commissioner Kish to excuse both Vice Chairman Barnes and Commissioner Steiner. Is there any questions, any discussion? All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
All those opposed, nay. Motion carries. Agenda item number 1, this is the approval of the draft minutes of the Planning and Zoning Commission meeting held on July 7th, 2021. And this is those were online. So is there a motion for the approval of those minutes?
Mr. Chairman, I move that we approve the draft minutes for the Planning and Zoning meeting on July 7th, 2021.
Second.
Been moved by Commissioner Maloney, seconded by Commissioner Ellison to approve the minutes of July 7th, 2021. Is there any discussion?
No.
Seeing none, all those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
All those opposed, nay. Motion carries. Now is the time for citizens who would like to address the Planning and Zoning Commission on any non-agenda items. Any non-agenda items? Anyone wish to address the commission? Any speakers cards? All right. Disclosure of ex parte communication. This is an opportunity for commission members to disclose an ex parte communication they may have prior to this meeting on any items on the agenda. Any disclosures for this evening's meeting?
Mr. Chairman, just a friendly reminder, Karen did forward you the email from the developer of the Palm Valley Assisted Living Facility. That was a letter that we sent to all of the commission last week. So technically that could be considered an ex parte communication, although it wasn't personal, and we did share it with everybody.
Duly noted. All right, we'll move right into the public hearings. Agenda item number 2, this is the Lakin multifamily PAD amendment, and that has been postponed. So do we need a motion to postpone? No, done? That's it? Okay. We'll move on to agenda item number 3. This is the Rainbow Valley Rezone. Christian's going to present, and I will open the public hearing.
All right. Good evening, Chairman Bray and Planning and Zoning Commission. My name is Christian, and I'm here before you this evening with a request from Shane Allman to conduct a rezoning on a property within the city. The property is approximately 1,319 acres, and it is located along Rainbow Valley Road between the Willis Road east-west alignment. That's basically halfway between Pecos Road and Germain Road. And it's that goes down to Queen Creek on the south. It's along both sides of Rainbow Valley Road. Currently, the property is zoned for a PAD under Rainbow Valley, and it is also zoned, a portion of it, for AU agricultural urban. So the property is this fun little Tetris shape right here. Zooming in a little closer, you can see that the project is south of a vacant agricultural piece of property, which will be presented to you in a future case actually called Terrasante. It is west of both vacant state trust land and vacant entitled land for Estrella Region 3 or Hidden Valley Ranch, not to be confused with the ranch dressing. It is east of vacant agricultural land within the county, some of which you may see in a future case called Estrella Highlands. And it is north of vacant agricultural land and the aforementioned Estrella Region 3. For additional context, it is approximately half a mile south of Montecito and Cantamilla within Estrella. For a little history on the property, in 2018, the portions of the project west of Rainbow Valley Road, which is approximately 999 acres, was zoned for Rainbow Valley PAD back in 2018. You'll see that image there on the left. Today, the majority of the case is adding an additional 320 acres to the east side of Rainbow Valley Road to the project through this project, which is called the First Amended PAD. So today, the proposal before you is Rainbow Valley First Amended PAD, aka Rainbow Valley 320, talking about those 320 acres we're adding. A few highlights is it will include single-family lots with lower densities, and that's called LDR within the PAD. There will be some medium-density lots, and those are called MDR within the PAD. Very creative. The 3 LDR designated land use categories will be similar to the city's existing R17, R16, and R14 land uses. In fact, it utilizes those as the base or underlying zoning for the PAD zoning. But the PAD creates its own zoning category. The MDR allows for lots similar to the city's R2, which is residential 2 units, R1A, which are residential attached or townhouse units, R1C, which are residential cluster or alley-loaded houses, and MF12, which are the single-family rental type zoning districts. However, if it is developed as a multifamily district, it will not permit units that are stacked on top of one another, such as in the case of like a garden-style apartment. So it needs to be a 1 or 2 story unit, and only one family can be between those floors, if that makes sense. The development will also include some community commercial, which is similar to the city's C2 general commercial district. And there's also areas for public facilities and placeholders for future school sites and recreational amenities. A couple elements to give the project some streetscape. Any subdivision within Rainbow Valley that has lot widths less than 55 foot wide will have to select from 2 of the following items: cluster driveways, decorative pavers on the driveways, or detached sidewalks that utilize 5.5 foot separations that have that landscape strip in between that's maintained by the HOA. Or they will need to have alley loaded or an alternate means to enhance the streetscape element. Homes that are on those R1A single family attached or R1C cluster alley loaded houses will have to select from either pavers on the front of the home, detached sidewalks, or another alternative method to meet the, again, intended streetscape. The images on this screen are to try to portray some of those types of elements and how those might look in the real world. Now let's talk about parks and open space. There will be at least 7 smaller neighborhood parks that are between 2 and 5 acres, 2 neighborhood parks that are 5 acres in size and greater, and there will be 4 enhanced neighborhood parks which are 5 or more acres in size located within the development. One of those parks will be east of Rainbow Valley Road, so you can kind of see what that looks like in a land element here. A minimum of one of the parks will be east of the, one will be east of Rainbow Valley Road, 2 will be southwest of Germain and Rainbow Valley Road, so you can see those 2 here, and one of those will be northwest of Rainbow Valley and Germain Road, so you'll see that right there. A minimum of one of the parks that's west of Rainbow Valley Road will include either a community center, an aquatic center, a splash pad complex, or similar amenity. And the enhanced neighborhood on the east side of Rainbow Valley Road will contain one of those previously mentioned enhanced amenities. If a portion of the project does become gated or age restricted or restricts access to the remainder of the community, it will also ensure that one of the parks that's available to everyone will have one of those amenities. And staff has evaluated the impact of this proposed zoning on the greater community, and with no major concerns being found, staff recommends you forward an approval recommendation for rezoning the property from Rainbow Valley PAD and AU to Rainbow Valley First Amended PAD, subject to the stipulations found in the staff report. The applicant is here if you have any specific questions I can't answer, but with that, I sit here for questions.
Thank you, Christian. I appreciate it. Are there any questions for staff? Commissioner Kish.
Hi, Christian, great job. I had a question regarding the future road development. It looks like the 303 is going to drive through that development. Can you tell me a little bit about that?
Sure. ADOT, as of right now, anticipates that there will be some right-of-way there that will be the future SR 303.
Okay, and section 2 in the upper right and section, is that a 5?
Yes.
what is gonna be done for road noise and for just general, just how to live in that area with that road
Yeah.
being right
The
there?
PAD is gonna the PAD contemplates buffering between the homes
Okay.
and the freeway.
Any other questions for staff? Does the applicant wish to address the commission this evening?
Good evening, Mr. Chairman, Commissioners. Bill Lally, Tiffany Bosco for the record here tonight for Shane Allman. No additional information. Christian did a great job as usual presenting the case. We appreciate everybody's support in the past for the last 1,000 acres. We spent many years working on that first position. We spent a lot of time with staff working on this application and want to thank publicly staff for all their hard work getting us where we are today. So no additional information other than a big thank you.
Any questions for the applicant? Thank you. All right, are there no speakers? I don't have any speakers cards. Any speakers cards? Anyone from the public wish to address the commission on this agenda item? All right, good job, Christian. Thank you. Seeing none, I will close the public hearing and take a motion, please.
Mr. Chairman, I move that we approve 20-210-00006.
A second?
It has been moved by Commissioner Clymer, seconded by Commissioner Kish, to approve the rezone along Rainbow Valley Road. Is there any discussion?
No.
Seeing none, all those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
All those opposed, nay. Motion carries. Thank you, Christian. Agenda item number 4, this is the Fairways at Palm Valley Assisted Living Facility Use Permit. I will open the public hearing, and Karen is ready to roll.
Ready to roll. Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Good evening, Commissioners. How are you all doing?
Great, great.
Good.
Good.
Good to see you. Oh, Christian has this all cleaned off here. The site for the assisted living facility is 6.15 acres at the southwest corner of Litchfield Road and Virginia Avenue, just north of Palm Valley Boulevard. And it extends over to 140th Avenue. And as you can see, there's a single-family neighborhood over here, and there's a park that's owned and maintained by the HOA of that neighborhood. And you'll hear some statements about that park later in the evening, I believe, by some of the adjacent residents. The parcel is zoned C2, and it's general commercial, and it's part of the Palm Valley Phase 2 PAD. And assisted living facilities may be developed in C2 with a use permit, which is what you are considering here tonight. This is the site plan that was submitted by the applicant. They are proposing a 2-story building. It's approximately 32 feet in height, typical for a 2-story home. They'll have 132 units, averaging about 780 square feet. They will be providing community and fitness amenities, and the residents will receive any assistance needed with their daily routines. The property is accessed off of Litchfield Road and over here with 2 access points off of 140th. This is the landscape plan rendering that was provided with the application. They have their required perimeter landscaping, including the maintaining the palm trees along Litchfield Road. They have 2 central green areas kind of inside the building envelope. They also have a gathering and recreation area down here along the golf course. And then they have their entrances are landscaped as well. These are 2 of the elevations for the building. The east elevation faces Litchfield Road, and the west elevation faces 140th Avenue. The zoning ordinance has evaluation criteria that we have to look at, that we all have to look at in approving a use permit. And the first is that the use permit will not be materially detrimental to the persons living and working in the vicinity of the facility, to the neighborhood, or to the public welfare. In evaluating this, staff felt that a two-story assisted living facility should not be detrimental to residents or workers in the area, and that a well-maintained, architecturally compatible facility should not be detrimental to the neighborhood or to the public. The second criteria that we should all look at is the proposed use reasonably compatible with the uses that are permitted in the surrounding area. And as I said, it's C2 general commercial zoning, and that was approved on this property in 2001 for the purpose of providing a transition between Litchfield Road and that residential neighborhood that developed further to the west that I showed you on the aerial. And staff finds that the criteria for the use permit has been met. We did our normal public outreach to owners of property within 500 feet of the site. And we heard from 3 residents we got emails and we got phone calls from 3 residents who were concerned about the effect the assisted living facility may have on their home values, their privacy, traffic in the area, the density of the facility itself, and noise and proximity to that neighborhood park that I showed you on the aerial. One resident was in support of the use, but was wanting assurances from the applicant regarding the safety of the kids and adults walking to the park. And what that resident was hoping for would be that there would be, forgive me, I'll go back to the site plan to show you that this access would be gated in some way, so there would be somewhat of a natural limitation on the vehicles going in and out of there. It's not a fire department emergency access, so it's not something that the city would require to be gated. But should the applicant choose to make this some sort of gated access, that gate would naturally have to be built to our standards so that our emergency services vehicles could get in there. And that was it in terms of what we heard from the public, from the residents. But I do believe, based upon the folks I see in the chairs here, that there are a few here that would like to speak to the use permit request, and the applicant, Scott Layton, is also here and has a presentation to give to you as well. But I'm happy to answer any questions you may have of me before that.
Thank you, Karen. Wonderful job as usual. Any questions for staff? Nope. Okay. Does the applicant wish to address the commission?
Good evening, members of the commission. My name is Scott Layton, and I'm with Centerio Companies. We are a principal owner and developer of senior housing. We have found that this site is a very unique opportunity for us. It's not often that you find a site that has 516 feet of frontage on a Phil Mickelson course. And the property is zoned for commercial. However, we've looked at it as, wouldn't this be a great opportunity to do a senior community, assisted living community, and more like a country club where people can sit outside, they can dine, they can overlook the water hazard in the ninth green. So that was kind of the ideas behind how we created this. I'm not sure that we necessarily need to get into my presentation because it seems to be quite a repeat of what you just viewed. We have tried to work with a handful of the residents that have had some concerns. The gate that Karen just mentioned, we were prepared to make that a emergency only access if that's what the fire department needed. If the fire department doesn't require that, we would prefer 2 points of ingress egress. So that one, which is closer to the residents, I think we would be open to possibly closing that off completely and just placing parking there. So I'd like to defer that really to the fire department to make sure that that's not a fire lane that they're going to need. So without getting into a great deal of information, I think what we'll do is, if you want to open it up to questions for me or for other residents, then I can answer their questions as they come forward.
So typically, we don't really go back and forth between the applicant and the residents, just to keep it clean and concise.
Okay.
If there's a general question that I kind of pick up on through this, then we'll come back. But so if you want to finish your statement, or if there's anything particular,
Sure.
I'd rather not do a back and forth.
Okay, we can do that. One of the concerns that we've had for our residents in the area is line of sight. And we have done our absolute best to push our building as far away from the property line as possible, limiting its height. We're allowed to go 50 feet, and to the top of our roof is 32 feet. So we've done some analysis that an individual standing and looking out is about 17 feet above the ground, probably very similar to just a normal two-story home in that location. So our closest would be the neighbor that's immediately contiguous to us on the golf course. And our closest building is approximately 104 feet away from that particular location, and we have landscaping and trees along there as a buffer. Then the homes on the other side to the golf course were almost 400 feet away from those homes. So we've done our very best to try to mitigate those things and be sensitive to our neighbors. And so I think with that, without getting into my presentation, which I believe would be a recapture of things, we'll just leave it at that.
Thank you. Appreciate it. Are there any questions for the applicant? Commissioner Kish?
Thank you. In regards to traffic and just how busy this location will be, I'm not familiar with a lot of assisted homes. So could you give me just a breakdown of how busy traffic will be in that area?
Currently, the most current traffic count that we were able to provide for Litchfield in that area is 28,000 cars a day.
Right.
So we were required to do a traffic impact study, and our impact study didn't even require us to do a deceleration lane. However, the city ordinance requires that all new developments on a major arterial do have a deceleration lane. So with senior housing, our trip generation count is incredibly low compared to other commercial uses that might be there. It's a very benign use. And we also provide a transportation bus. We also have a car, and we do scheduled outings and stuff. Typically, our communities, I believe the ordinance requires 0.75 parking spaces to every unit, and we're at about 2.2, 2.25 parking spaces. Not that we're necessarily going to use it, but if there were ever an event, a family event or something, we'd like to have all of our on-site parking. One of the concerns from one of the other residents was parking on the neighboring street across from the park. And we had suggested that we were fine with no parking signs, that we have enough parking on site, that we would never have a need to park on any public right-of-way. So,
Thank you.
you're welcome.
Any other questions for the applicant? Thank you.
Okay, thank you.
Karen, would you mind putting up the slide just with the map as we get into this discussion? We will move into the public comment period or portion of this. You'll see there's a box right here, your right, my left, green, yellow, red. You'll have 3 minutes, 30 seconds before it'll turn yellow. And then obviously red is and your comments. I typically allow people just to wrap up their thoughts at that point. And so, again, if there's a common question, maybe we'll pull it out, but this is not really a back and forth type of scenario. We take the comments and then decide at that point. Have I missed anything, Chris? Okay. And forgive me, these are handwritten documents, so I'm going to do my best. Patrick Gavrick? Yes, please. Thank you.
All right. Thank you. Just to let you know, we're the house right next door where everything will be going in. So our concerns, when this was prior approved, we met with the developer. They were going to have landscaping go at least 30 feet out before anything. But the way this looks is like parking lots going up right against the wall. So that's one of our major concerns. We're concerned with, we have a beautiful backyard. Nighttime, it's great. We don't want any lighting over it. I don't know what the lighting's going to be. So those are some of our concerns. Definition of a assisted living. Is there an age limit? Those are concerns. They allow drug addicts. Is it assisted living? What is included there? We're very concerned with the driveway next door. Yeah, if with trees, we don't really want trees impeding on our wall. We have a basketball court right there. Don't want to be cleaning up, etc. Number of staff employees. Where were there smoking breaks? We don't want them using the park next door, so we're concerned with that. And those were the big items we had. But we're really concerned with not so much the facility, but how it's going to impede on our. We have in that lot we have the highest valued home there, and we don't want it to decrease with respect to this. So that's our major concern. All right, thank you.
Thank you. And Kathleen is also opposed but does not wish to speak, correct? Okay. I assume that you choose to reside with the gentleman that spoke. Jan Brumbaugh? That close? Okay. I'm sure you'll correct me when you get here.
I married into it.
So you're still learning it too?
Yes, 44 years. We live in Floriana. We've been there since its inception. We were the fifth residents in the park. This consists of 69 homes. This new assisted living facility is going to be 132 homes. I notice on page 6 of this particular narrative, it says that the residents and their families will also be able to take advantage of the park across the street. Excuse me, why? In the narrative it says they're 62 and up, the age limit, and I see the amenities that are listed in here. Why would they need to be in our park when they've got bocce ball, they've got a pool, they've got putt-putt, they have all kinds of things. If you're gonna do that, I'm gonna tell you, you better change the HOA fee for our park because 69 homes are sharing that fee. And if you're going to share it with this particular assisted living facility, you're going to share the fee with those people too. We never got a postcard telling us about what was coming in. We happened to be driving by and see the billboard, the post sitting there. I said, stop, take a picture. My husband did, and I went, what? No postcards. And by the way, the 69 homes that are in that subdivision, have you noticed? None of them are two-story. They are all 69 homes, single story, for a reason. We want it that way. We want to leave it that way. And I understand his concerns. You don't want a two-story house in a single-story subdivision. And by the way, you know how many assisted living facilities and caregivers are within 5 square miles? See the red dots on here? Do you know how many empty lots there are? Just on Bullard, the northeast corner of Bullard and McDowell alone, you see how large that open lot is? There's plenty of other places for this. This isn't it. And no, I don't want the assisted living there. I don't want people coming and going all hours of the day and night. I have a dad that's in assisted living back in Indiana. This isn't just a 9-to-5 job. I fear for the neighbors that are going to be right next to it, that don't want the noise, that don't want the coming and the going. And these people don't come just by personal cars, they come by ambulance. So what's going on here? I don't like it. I don't like the fact that we got no warning. And I'm going to tell you, please say no. Find another place for this. There's plenty of empty lots in Goodyear for this. Thank you.
Thank you. Deborah Johannesson?
So my name is Deborah Johansson, and I'm a Goodyear resident. My concern is privacy. That's I have lots of concerns, and I agree with our last speaker 100%. But the location of my property is across the park, and there's a direct line of sight. Actually, Scott provided me with a line of sight, and there's a direct line of sight to my home. So that's my main concern. I spend a lot of time on my patio, pool, our lifestyles here in lovely Goodyear, Arizona. So a lot of concern with that. The back of my house is all glass, basically. A lot of concern with that. So I did want to say I understand that senior housing is important. I do. But I agree that it doesn't necessarily need to be right in that spot. We are a community of one-story homes, and it just seems intrusive. I would, if this passes, I would ask that the trees in the line of sight exhibit that Scott provided, it did show trees that were blocking between this assisted living and my home. And so I just wanted to be sure that this is, if this is passed, is a full landscape, like wall of trees. And, I'm talking about the section that he showed me, and so we haven't seen this, so I can't really show it to you. But it was basically an area that was 20 feet out from the building. So, in this building that they're proposing, it's windows and it's balconies. So, outdoor living for these assisted living folks. So in this exhibit that he showed me, there were trees. He just showed my line of sight trees. He didn't show the whole tree plan. But the trees did look like they were very large. In fact, the tree that was against the building was at the roof line, and the roof line is 21 feet 8 inches, so it was a very large tree. And the other trees did show like people in cars, like little diagrams, people in cars, and they looked very large. So what my point is, I guess, if this passes, I just want to make sure that there's some language built into the plan that provides for the trees being large enough to block the line of sight, being heavy enough to block the line of sight, being replaced if they blow down, because they blow down all the time. That park used to have a ton of trees, and it doesn't have very many trees anymore. And that
3 minutes.
I'm sorry. I thought somebody said something to me. Anyway, so that's basically my thing, is if it passes, it's just privacy, and that the trees truly protect the line of sight, and that they're maintained and replaced as needed. So that's my request if this does pass, and I think it's reasonable, and I appreciate your time.
Thank you. Cheryl Schuster.
I'm Cheryl Schuster. I live at 2518 North 140th Drive, so I'm Debbie's neighbor, but I'm on 140th Drive. She's on Cambridge, and my house is also backs up to the park, and it's right there. I can see what they're doing all day long. I'm concerned, like everybody else, that the traffic, the sirens, coming to get people being in in assisted living, you're going to have people having to go to the hospital, the ambulances coming in and out. Like she said, people at the facility coming into our park, I don't think that that's right. I don't think they're going to have their own parks there. I agree with Debbie that there should be trees that are planted that are large enough that they block our view. At least give us some barrier of some kind that we can't see. I'm not very tall, so, any kind of tree is going to be good for me, but it would be preferably be tall. But that's my concern, so I really hope that they take that in consideration if this goes through. Thank you.
Cheryl, so I just want to get this right, and you didn't mark it on the deal, so do you oppose the project?
I do.
Okay. And same for you, Deborah?
I do.
Okay. These just go on the record, so I want to make sure that it's filled out. Next on the list is John Thorhauer.
That's good.
Perfect.
Good evening. My name's John Thorhauer. I live next to Pat. So I'm the second house down, directly west of the site. I'm not actually opposed to the project in concept. I'm actually opposed to the staff recommendation to approve it as it is. And I've had some dialogue with Mr. Layton, and I think he's done a good job of designing it, a good job of answering some of the questions I had. I will say, by way of background, before I retired to Arizona, I spent 30 years developing and operating senior living communities like this and medical clinics and other types of senior residences. So I do think it's a good place for it, for their business. I'm really opposed to the exit that's directly adjacent to my neighbor's driveway for two main reasons. The park is directly across the street. I walk my dog frequently. There are kids that walk up and down that sidewalk every day and cross the street right at that exact corner. It is a corner, so the road curves there, so it's a very difficult place to start with, and with the work that's been going on in the well recently there, that's caused some safety issues as well, cars coming around the corner. A residence like this is probably going to have around 100 employees, 40 to 60 in a day shift, departing at the same time. I don't want them departing through the neighborhood. I'd prefer that be closed off like Mr. Layton suggested and become parking, or if that's not possible, that it be gated in some way with emergency access, knockbox or something similar for the fire department to have access. That is my only remaining concern, other than the concerns that were voiced about. Of course, I don't want ambulances in the middle of the night and things like that, but in concept, that's my biggest concern. So thank you for your time.
Thank you. Anyone else wish to address the commission? Yes, sir.
Yeah, I came in later.
No, you're fine. You can start, and then when you're finished, just see staff, and they will provide you, just fill out the slip when you're done, please.
Yeah, my name's John Bradish, and I live in Floriana. I think most of my concerns have been at least mentioned, but I think some of the bigger concerns that I have is I don't think people realize the magnitude of the traffic, not only on Litchfield, but between Litchfield Road and 144th Avenue and Thomas there. I don't know. I live on where we come in to Floriana from there, and traffic there is, it's a 35 zone, and repeatedly people are doing 50, 55. So added traffic density on Thomas Road as well as Litchfield. People are already cutting through our neighborhood and bypassing Thomas, the light and everything at Litchfield and Thomas there. So that's one of my biggest concerns, is the impact of traffic in our neighborhood. It's a relatively quiet neighborhood, and again, a bunch of single-family homes, single-story. I get the two-story facility is a concern as well, which has been addressed. And I think there's plenty of high-density development within a half a mile of our neighborhood right now, where the new city hall and that complex is being built. There's at least 3 brand new apartment complexes. There's another assisted living, and then up and down Litchfield. So it just seems to me, this zoning change was done in 2001. We're fast forward to 2021. The whole demographics and the whole development, environment has changed in the neighborhood. So, the other, just to note, I noticed that we mentioned the construction project for the pump and everything. I'm concerned that this may be a done deal already, because they just spent 6 months putting in a new infrastructure water line, and I noticed there's new infrastructure, there's a pumping station, and there's new electrical box facility that's already been built on this. So I'm not sure what that's for, but I just find it interesting, the timing of that development that actually has been going on for the last 6 months. And to that point, if I read this right, the construction for this facility is to go ongoing for 18 months, and it was already brutal to go in and out of our neighborhood because they had the roads already blocked off already and going in and out of our neighborhood. And there's a lot of kids walking around. I walk the dog on a daily basis, was blocked off to one lane, and you had to wait for traffic in our neighborhood to come in and out, and we live there. So those are some of my biggest concerns, and for the record, I guess I oppose it.
Thank you. Anyone else wish to address? Yes, sir.
I actually called in, sent email, and wasn't sure I could hear that surgery. Do I need to, or can I speak again?
Yeah, I don't see why. Yeah, you can address the commission again. And then when you're done, same thing, just fill out a card. Yeah.
Obviously, since I'm sitting next to the lady who already spoke, my name's Roger Brumbaugh, and yes, I'm the one that caused her to have that name. I'm not gonna try to say a whole lot, because a lot has already been said, but my main concern is what is going in there. I know that it is zoned for commercial use, and I believe it was 9 years ago, they actually had a tent put up there. There was a groundbreaking ceremony. They were gonna build an office there, and all of a sudden, the economy went, and it all went away. So it's been that way. Like I said, we've been there for the fifth family moving in. My concern is assisted living facility. I'm a retired Phoenix police detective, 31 years. I know what goes on inside assisted living facilities. It's not just the elderly. It's not just people who've had, other medical issues. It's people, I've seen them at the facilities that are either recovering because of overdose. I have actually personally helped send a person there who was shot by the police and had to go to an assisted living facility. I don't want those things in our neighborhood. I know he can make all kind of promises and everything else, but once a business is open, crap happens. I'm 1,000% opposed to that going in there. An office complex, 2-story, everything else, that's fine because it's not a 24/7 facility. And the comments that guy had online also about, well, it could be a tattoo parlor, it could be this, could be that. I don't think the city of Goodyear is going to allow that to happen in the first place in that location. So that is a silly argument on their part. My thing is, yes, a commercial building going there, no problem. Assisted living is not anything acceptable at all. Thank you. Obviously, I'm opposed.
Thank you. If you'll just fill out a slip, I appreciate it. Anyone else wish to address the commission? No? Okay. With that, I will ask, is there any questions from the commissioners for staff or for the applicant?
I had a question regarding the use of the park.
Okay.
If we could maybe
Is that Scott?
address the park issue, if it's possible, to kind of at least put that to rest in regarding the use of the park, and so I can understand that being an issue.
Yeah, that was my error. I assumed it was a municipal park, and when we were made aware by the neighbors that it was a private park belonging to the HOA, we immediately said, look, we completely understand. We have tons of amenities within our community, and we have no interest in trespassing. It is private property, and we do respect that, obviously. So that was my error. I made a mistake in my writings.
Thank you.
Perfect. Any other questions? Okay, I got a few. Karen, will you, actually, we can leave it here. The landscape buffering against the house that it literally touches, what is the buffer on that one?
I believe it will be a 20-foot buffer along there.
So from the wall before the parking lot starts is 20 feet?
Yes.
Okay. And then what is the landscaping along 140th? Is that 20 feet wide as well?
Yeah, I think they're 10. I'm sorry. Yeah.
So the one against the house is 10, or is it
I
20?
think they're both 10. It's up against the streets. They're what, the entry street, Virginia and Litchfield are wider. But I believe those other buffers are 10 feet wide.
Okay.
All the trees will be over the wall, et cetera. Roots will go underlying the wall.
It's a concept. I don't know that that necessarily means that there's going to be however many trees that is saying there. So it's just a concept. But to that, I would like to offer an amendment there that we match what we've done in the past on those other projects, which I believe is 15 feet.
It's 34.
So, Mr. Chairman, if I can interject just 1 second.
Yes, please.
This evening, the commission is considering the use permit. We're not talking about the layout or anything of that nature because that is to be designed during the site planning process and would have to meet all the normal city setbacks, landscaping requirements, and so forth. So the use permit that we're looking at is narrowly construed, and our good friend, city attorney colleague here can speak up as well, but our scope of the inquiry tonight is somewhat narrow. Is this an appropriate location for this use? And then they'll meet meet or exceed city parking requirements, meet or exceed city landscaping requirements. So our kind of scope is a little bit narrower, I think, than maybe there's some confusion about, because we're not approving a development plan tonight. If you choose to recommend to council would then ultimately approve the use, and then we would work through the design process with the developer and their hired professionals.
But the difference here is because it's the use permit, then they're not coming back to us on the design.
Correct.
Because that's in-house.
Yes, sir, that's correct.
And I understand what you're saying. I guess I do. And while it's just a use permit, I think there are some valid concerns with the property owner that, is completely adjacent to it that,
Sure.
And I guess my comment then would be, I would hope that city staff would look at projects that we've approved in the past that were not used permits and mimic those.
Right, and my comments, Mr. Chairman, you all certainly have an ability to have a stipulation should the owner so choose to be in agreement with that. I just wanted to make it clear that we weren't, for our audience members here, that we're not approving this drawing tonight because that's conceptual. The number of trees on a given line there, dimension, has to be worked out because things may shift a little bit. They often do during the civil design and the engineering and the building safety plan. So I just wanted to make sure everybody was aware of that. We're not here tonight counting the trees along one side or anything of that nature. That was the point of my comment.
Now I'm in trouble because the lawyer wants to speak. Go ahead, Sarah.
I think what Christopher is trying to say is that we aren't approving a site plan here, but in the use permit process, you can impose conditions that are intended to mitigate the impacts on the adjacent neighborhood. So if you do want a minimum of a landscape setback as a condition of approval, you would have that right. But what Christopher is saying is we are not approving. This is just a conceptual that they've put out there. And so if you wanted to say, we're not going to have any ingress or egress, emergency access only off 140th. They still have to meet the requirements. They'll have to have 2 points of access, but one of them could be emergency access only, off of, I don't know if that's 140th Avenue or 140th Lane. You could have no lighting facing any residential, even if it's separated by a street. So in this particular process, especially with this, because it's really kind of a rezoning, then you do have the ability to impose some of those conditions. But what Christopher is saying is correct. And so when you're looking at that picture, you're not going to necessarily see something that develops like that. It could develop far different.
Okay. I think, I know you guys didn't have questions, but I think that this particular project, I think that the residents have brought forward some valid concerns that we should put at least forward stipulations to the council and allow them to make that decision if that's okay, right? Okay. So, based on that, bear with me here. So I would propose a minimum, and this is just because it matches what we have done in the past, and I'm open to other suggestions with this. A minimum of 15-foot buffer on landscaping on the property line on that. I guess that would be probably the east, or that'd be west, wouldn't it?
Southwest.
Southwest?
Southwest, yeah.
So however legally we describe that line, minimum of 15 feet. That matches what we've done in the past. I would also propose that there be only emergency access off of 140th Lane or Avenue.
Mm-hmm. Right there.
Basically, whatever it is right across the street from the park.
Yeah, so there would be no, this one shows two, I'm saying only an emergency access. So basically, yeah, emergency access only.
If necessary.
Both of those as emergency access.
Yeah.
Yep. And then, finally, I'm sure we have the language there. The last stipulation would be lighting. I'm sure do we already have something on that the lighting has to be facing down and no? Okay, so we don't even have to worry about that. So if we do those two, the emergency access and a minimum of 15 feet, I'll just ask Scott, does that cause a tremendous amount of heartburn?
No, sir. I think that's something that we can accommodate. We are absolutely interested in working with everybody to make sure that everybody's happy with what we come up with. So.
Okay. So, with that, I guess I actually need to probably, are there any other questions for staff or the applicant? Nobody else from the public wishes to address the commission? Okay.
What are you guys voting on today? Because it sounds like you're gonna say it's approved and we're going ahead with this project.
So just a minute, sir, just a minute. I'll go ahead and close the public hearing. And what we're about to vote on is the use of this property. And it's already zoned C2, so the use is obviously this assisted living facility. But we're going to ask for additional stipulations to be put on that approval. We're simply an advisory committee, so the final decision will actually be made at council. So you'll have another bite at the apple, and staff will provide when that is once we get finished. So with that, is there any other discussions or questions or about this project?
I've been involved only once with assisted living, and that was with Pebble Creek when they built Robeson Reserve there on Pebble Creek Parkway. I was on the board of directors at that time. That was about 7 years ago when the first planning started of that. And there were lots of questions from the residents, same, about those things, and most of those never came to fruition. So the developer worked with all the residents as best they could, and I think they did a great job there. And you know, I drive by there every day, and there's just not a lot of traffic into that facility. They don't have the only exit entryway is right next to that fire station there, just off of Pebble Creek Parkway. So, and I've gone over there. I have friends over there that live there, and you know, it's. I'm not going to say it's like a dead zone because that's not good to say around the system, but it is. It's very quiet over there.
All right. With that, I would entertain a motion on this project and with those additional stipulations.
Mr. Chairman, I move that we approve the special use permit with stipulations.
I second.
It has been moved by Commissioner Kish, seconded by Commissioner Clymer, to approve the Fairways at Palm Valley Assisted Living Facility use permit with the stipulations on the landscape and the emergency entrances, which I'm sure someone has captured, right?
I wrote them down.
Okay.
Stipulations for lighting, landscape.
Just two, yeah, we dropped the lighting because there's enough in lighting that.
In the ordinance.
In the ordinance, yeah.
So just for, I'm sorry, excuse me, Mr. Chairman, that was a little close. Just for clarity, if I may, so the stipulation is on the southwest portion of the property line. Karen, would you mind moving the mouse there? Thank you. Yep, so that would be a 15-foot landscape buffer between the property line and the beginning of the parking for the facility, and then also 15-foot landscaping adjacent to 140th. Along in there, yes. And then the other one was only emergency access to 140th.
Correct. Yep.
Thank you.
Thank you. So it has been moved by Commissioner Kish, seconded by Commissioner Clymer to approve with the two stipulations. Is there any discussion?
Yeah, I guess
Yes.
knowing the residents in, I mean, not knowing them, but in that area, I would not want this near me, period.
Understood. With that, I'll ask Alyssa to go ahead and do a roll call vote.
Commissioner Ellison,
Nope.
Commissioner Kish,
Yes?
Commissioner Clymer,
Aye.
Commissioner Maloney,
Nay.
Chairman Bray.
Aye.
3-2, motion does not pass.
Wait,
So the motion doesn't
Because we have
pass
to have a
because you need
4.
4 votes, no matter how many commissioners are present. And so you have 2 options. You can put forth another motion, or it would become a recommendation of denial if, since it failed.
I think that that's the vote, and I think unless the commissioner objects, I think you put it forward that it failed, and they'll be able to see the vote. I mean, they'll understand that, we didn't have a quorum, or the four, so, there it is. So for the residents, basically failed to meet the requirement of the vote, so the use permit, the recommendation to the council is that it doesn't happen. And so now the council will take it up. Do we have a date or a suspected date?
It'll be Monday, August 23rd.
Monday, August 23rd at 6:00 p.m. in this room.
Okay, so there you go. Monday, August 23rd. You're still interested, need to discuss. One, we have a tremendous staff, so feel free to visit with any of them afterwards. Or two, feel free to contact council. With that, we'll move on to staff communications.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Just to recap the July 7th meeting, all of these cascaded to the second city council meeting in July prior, that was actually before their break. So there was the PAD amendment for Palm Valley Crossing to facilitate Shooters World. There was the use permit for a quick trip at Bullard and McDowell. There was also the preliminary plat for the quick trip at McDowell and Bullard. There was that PAD amendment for Ballpark Village for the Sun MP property from conversion to industrial to multifamily, as well as some ordinance cleanup work. Rezoning for Australia Commons, the district at Australia Commons, which was sort of across from Walmart, north of where Aldi is. There was the La Privada rezone, the use permit for Salad and Go, and also the use permit for a drive-through facility at Pebble Creek Marketplace Shopping Center, and then finally also the comprehensive sign package for Civic Square. That's what you all considered. It was a busy night on July 7th, and the council approved all of those at the end of July. And then just also a friendly reminder, and I also think it's in your script, Mr. Chairman, we're going to have the joint Planning Commission Council work session on September 9th, although respectfully understand and we know that unfortunately Commissioner Clymer won't be out of town that day, but it was the best date for 99% of everybody. So
I'm just a nobody.
The 1%.
And we wanted to get that scheduled as soon as possible. So that will be September 9th at 9 o'clock. It will be at 4 o'clock p.m. So hopefully that doesn't challenge Commissioner Kish too bad. But please come a little bit late, even if so. We are working on the room. I think it's either going to be at City Hall or it may be at the new rec campus. That's to be determined. We will share the agenda with you prior to, along with the room assignment and all that kind of information as well.
Very good.
And I
Appreciate
think that's
that.
all I have, Katie. Did you have anything, Katie?
Yeah, I wanted to point out one reminder that our next regular commission meeting is on September 15th, which is the third Wednesday. It just worked out that way since the first was on a Wednesday. So just wanted to make sure you all remember that it happens to be the third Wednesday in September 15th.
I have never missed a meeting, and that will be my 2 in a row.
2 in a row. Well, thank you again to staff, and I asked Alyssa if she'll just remind us as we get close on those dates, and maybe super highlight the 4 o'clock in City Hall or wherever we land, so we don't just get an autopilot ending up here.
We'll send out homing pigeons. We'll send you a homing pigeon.
Maybe just Uber us.
We'll send an Uber.
Yeah, just Uber. A car.
A special joint council and planning and zoning commission work session will be held on September 9th, 2021 at 4 p.m. at the Goodyear City Hall, room 117. The next regular planning and zoning commission will be held September 15, 2021 at 6 p.m. at the Goodyear Municipal Court and Council chambers. There being no further business this evening, this meeting is adjourned.